President Robert Mugabe addresses ACP leaders. Minister tells Parliament UPNG will remain suspended. And PNG to face Tahiti next.
This is National EMTV News with Hope Imaka.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Tuesday's news. The official opening of the 8th African, Caribbean and Pacific Group of States was held this morning in Port Moresby. In accordance with the theme of the summit, focus was on repositioning the ACP group to respond to the challenges of sustainable development. President of Zimbabwe and representing the African region, Dr. Robert Mugabe, said ACP countries cannot continue to be spectators in their own land. As heads of state and governments from the African, Caribbean and Pacific groups arrived at the International Convention Center, they were greeted by host Prime Minister and Chairman of the 8th Summit, Peter O'Neill. The ACP group is made up of 79 member states. All of them, except Cuba, are signatories to the Cotonou Agreement, which binds them to the European Union. This year marks 41 years since the signing of the Georgetown Agreement, by which they committed themselves to a relationship with the EU. This summit was held to chart a new vision and future for the ACP group of states and reposition it so that it remains relevant. President of Zimbabwe and representative of the African group, Dr. Robert Mugabe, said the new ACP needs to concentrate its resources and efforts on sustainable development.
We cannot continue to be spectators while our primary commodities are driving an economic boom in the north and west.
President Mugabe said financial self-sufficiency should be a focus for ACP.
We note that development finance has constituted a critical lifeline of the ACP-EU partnership for over 40 years, but has regrettably created a typical donor-recipient relationship. This summit should commit itself to gradually weaning the ACP from development aid. Nevertheless, believe that summit should mandate our ministers of finance to further reflect and elaborate on funding options for the new organization.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill reiterated times have changed and ACP needs to refine its vision to suit today's needs. He expressed frustration at not seeing change in ACP economic relations, even though it is one of the biggest international groupings.
I strongly believe that ACP Group must rise to the occasion and be seen by its people and the world to be an effective and relevant institution that has positive dynamics to make a real difference to the lives of our people.
The meetings will prioritize outcomes that will ensure equitable and sustainable development for ACP people, peace, security and sustainability, and enhancing the role of the ACP group in global governance for development. The closing ceremony of the summit will be held tomorrow with the consideration and adoption of the draft Port Moresby Declaration and the Waigani Communique. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News. Representing the Pacific Islands, Samoan Prime Minister Dr. Tuila Epa Malielengaoi highlighted the management of climate change to be an imperative goal for all ACP countries. He called on all ACP countries to set aside their differences and work to curb the effects of climate change in light of the UN's Sustainable Development Goals.
Climate change, Malielengaoi said, is an existential threat for low-lying atolls in particular. He said island countries like Kiribati and Tuvalu needed ACP's attention and praised the ACP Council for including a small island developing states forum within the ACP structure.
Small islands developing states, sets, LDCs and landlocked countries need our special attention. For SETS, the Samoa Pathway provides the foundation for future actions and partnerships. And I applaud the decision of the ACP Council of Ministers to establish a SETS forum within our ACP structure. This is a clear demonstration of our unity and solidarity.
He also stressed that climate funding was fundamental in the fight against the adverse effects of climate change in our community, and announced that Samoa would be hosting the Green Climate Funding Board.
There are still numerous hurdles to accessing climate financing. I'm happy to announce that Samoa is bringing home the December meeting of the Green Climate Fund Board so that they can experience firsthand what the impacts are on small islands developing states.
Maliele Gaoi urged the ACP group of countries to work together to strengthen resilience to climate change, among other exogenous shocks, through a collective effort to implement the Sustainable Development Goals.
The Sustainable Development Goals is our roadmap for the future. The ACP group must learn from each other, share best practices and lessons learned, and wherever possible, execute these responsibilities through South-South and triangular cooperation.
Melissa Gaviro, National MTV News.
European Union has provided 23 million Fiji dollars to support Fiji's post-cyclone recovery. TC Winston hit Fiji in February this year, killing 44 people and generated hundreds of millions worth of damages throughout the islands. The financial assistance package will assist Fiji's recovery and rehabilitation efforts in the agriculture sector. European Union's Commissioner for International Cooperation and Development, Naveen Mimika, and Fiji's Prime Minister, Frank Bainimarama, signed the agreement today in the margins of the EU-ACP summit. The 23 million Fiji dollars will not only help the sugar and agriculture, but will also give hope to hundreds and thousands of Fijian citizens who depend on the sectors for their livelihoods and survival. Barigada village in Guam played host to the PNG delegation taking part in the 12th Festival of Pacific Arts. The event was special with the presence of the governor for Guam, Eddie Bazar Calvo, and his wife, who accepted the invitation to share a meal with the PNG delegation. Meanwhile, the governor for Guam, Eddie Bazar Calvo, thanked the PNG delegation for visiting Guam. He was happy to host the Pacific's largest island inhabitants and told the delegates they will always be welcomed in Guam.
Even that the governor for Guam would attend, but he said yes to be with the Papua New Guinea delegation and share the meal at Barigada village. Welcome, Apade! The delegation was welcomed into Barigada this afternoon. Then they sang the national anthem. They ate, chatted, and danced, celebrating unity in the Pacific way.
So on behalf of our island, we want to thank so much Barigada, and we welcome you, our brothers and sisters from the Blue Pacific. God bless you and have a wonderful time.
Most of all, I'm so proud also that the governor and the First Lady are here to see our people and how we gather.
When we have visitors in our land, we at least have to say welcome to them in a form of gesture or through a feast so that they feel at home. In Guam, Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Among stories after the break, Parliament told that UPNG Semester 1 will remain suspended. Those stories and more after the break. Welcome back. It's not a usual business practice in PNG, but a young insurance company is making headways by providing accommodation for employees. The National Teachers Insurance Limited, with its subsidiary Life Insurance Corporation PNG Limited, today opened a double-story housing complex for their staff. Company's founder, Deb Kumar-De, says they will be an example to other insurance companies to provide accommodation for their staff.
Deb Kumar-De, the founder of the National Teachers Insurance Limited and the Life Insurance Corporation group of companies, came to Papua New Guinea in 1988. Originally from India, he spent most of his life working in PNG. Between 1998 and 1999, the idea to establish an insurance company was developed initially. But after negotiations, he finally got the support of the Teachers Association and started the National Teachers Insurance Limited on 18 June 2000. 3 years later, the company was successful and opened its new subsidiary, the Life Insurance Corporation PNG Limited, on October 2003. The success of his insurance company continues to grow with the opening of the self-funded office complex, Insurance Romana. Today, another record has been set. The young company has set an example by investing in human resource, building staff accommodation for its workers.
And this house is it's an example for all the companies, and years to come they will tell that we are the first one who actually believed in workers, and we have done the workers free. All this time expatriates were having the house, free house, free cars and all these things. But I am breaking the trend, and they are also part of our work group, and they should also deserve it.
Starting with 1 million kina share capital, the company now has an asset value of 40 million kina.
And one day I believe my dream is this company will become the #1 company in PNG.
As we have heard, the person behind this strategic move is of the staff housing as an incentive to retain employees.
They have changed the trend in PNG by providing accommodation for its employees, allowing them to settle in for free. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
Stret Pasin, a retail incubation program run by the government through the National Development Bank, today launched the new mobile catering tool, Meals on Wheels. It's being described as the solution to boost the SME sector. The food carts also aim to address some major impediments in the sector, such as access to market and mobility. Leanne Gerari with more.
The recent launch of the SME policy outlined the government's intentions to grow the SME sector over a 15-year period in the hopes to increase the size of the sector from 50,000 to 500,000, creating 2 million new jobs, reducing unemployment from 84% today to 49%, and contributing 50% of GDP. The policy also identified several impediments faced by the SME sector, including lack of financial inclusion, lack of access to finance, a lack of access to business or commercial land, and inadequate access to market and market information. To address these issues, NDB Investments is developing a range of affordable solutions to give micro and small businesses access to their markets. Of these products, the Meals on Wheels mobile food carts was launched today.
We've thought about different kinds of businesses and different alternatives that we can offer to them. We did our research and we found that offering them a mobile catering solution such as the Meals on Wheels, which is essentially a kitchen slash shop caravan that you can tow around with you anywhere you go, would be, I guess, a more affordable solution for our people. It's not only affordable, they also have the convenience of mobility.
NDB had estimated that if a customer were to operate the card full-time, they can make sales of between 300 kina and 1,000 kina a day, making between 6,000 to 20,000 kina a month. Interested customers either have the option to purchase outright or take out a loan from NDB or the People's Microbank.
So that cost introductory is at 34,999 kina just for the month of June. After that, the price will be at 39,999, or there is the option where they can get a loan. Now, in order for them to get a loan, they'd have to put down 30% equity, which will be about 12,000 kina.
This anticipated Meals on Wheels food carts are a first in Papua New Guinea. And with this product, NDB Investment hopes to target customers willing to venture into the mobile food carts industry. I'm Leanne Jarari reporting for National EMTV News.
Higher Education Minister Malakai Tabar says Semester 1 for the University of Papua New Guinea academic year will remain suspended. Tabar told Parliament this afternoon that it was the UPNG Senate's decision to do so, and students should not speak about national issues but focus on their education. He was responding to Deputy Opposition Leader Sam Basil's question during Parliament's first afternoon of its June session.
The Higher Education Minister to explain clearly the suspension of Semester 1 for the UPNG students. This was the third question asked during Questions Without Notices this afternoon. In response, Minister Tabar told Parliament that students had boycotted classes for over 5 weeks and that had forced the Senate to suspend Semester 1.
So Semester 1 basically is on suspension. Only need long organize small inside long university na various lecturers groups. Long look when I'm something balimas working remedial work long end when I'm something balimas and then they need to bring back Semester 1. So.
However, Tabar said the Senate is still in discussion on Semester 1's suspension and will try not to disturb Semester 2 of the 2016 academic year.
But suppose all picnic and arim talk na you miss it down na you go back to school. All this talk you play talk long and our side na awareness long and sorry I think it's start before court or something line talk long and. You me all give him you me this tag name Pikinini lo school. Sumatin lo school. You me stop lo this plahap.
Meanwhile, the court order staying the eviction of UPNG students from both the Tauroma and Waigani campuses will lapse tomorrow. The UPNG SRC is expected to appear before the Waigani National Court for further directions on the stay order and the judicial review of the UPNG Council's decision to deploy over 400 police personnel to the Waigani campus. Takla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Dozens of students at the University of Technology who gathered around a mobile phone connected to a speaker system to listen to the live broadcast of Parliament have expressed disappointment over the lack of prominence given to their concerns. Student leaders said they felt that the biggest issue at hand was the concerns they were raising and that the debates avoided the issue.
It was a frustrating afternoon for students at the University of Technology who had gathered since 2 p.m. in the hope of viewing an NBC relayed broadcast of Parliament. The TV broadcast didn't happen, but about 20 minutes into the live relay on radio, student leaders connected a mobile phone to the university speaker system, making it possible for them to hear the proceedings of Parliament by radio.
It is not new to her.
But 20 minutes into the broadcast left a lot of gaps. They didn't get to hear what was expected. Many felt student concerns had been avoided.
It's really a disgrace. If I could describe today's Parliament session, it's really a disgrace to the people of this country and to us students and intellects of this country. I'm personally not happy with today's Parliament session.
At the weekend, Morobe students held a forum to call on their political representatives to either defect or speak out. This afternoon, the Lay MP raised a concern on DSIP funding
What do you mean when you make reference to the Bible? I'm saying, regarding the size of the Bible.
But much of the other parts of the Parliament question time, heard on radio, left students disappointed.
And they should realize that the issue that is in the heart of the country now is the student movement, the boycotting of classes. That's something you should talk about today.
Parliament has remained largely unmoved by the student movement. There has been no response so far from the call by Morobes students to their MPs to listen to their concerns. And government MPs have maintained the only way to remove the government is in 2017. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Ley.
Students at the University of Natural Resources and Environment in East New Britain Province returned to classes yesterday. This comes after a 4-week-long boycott as a show of strength to the students' boycott at the UPNG and Unitec campuses regarding the political turmoil. The student leaders, provincial groups and university's administration met last week and agreed to put an end to the boycott. SRC President Scott Akena said there are more than 500 students on campus who will face consequences if they continue the boycott. Mr. Akena said UNRE has shown its support to its sister universities by conducting public awareness in numerous locations in East New Britain and will return to class this week. This comes 2 weeks after the university's acting Vice-Chancellor, Dr. Samson Laub, issued a warning to students to return to class or the 2016 academic year will be immediately suspended. The NCD Governor Powers Parkop raised concerns on the output and capabilities of PNG Power Limited during questions without notice in Parliament. This follows the recent appointment of the SOE's new CEO and the sacking and suspension of its members in its management team. Governor Parkop directed his question to Minister responsible, William Duma, saying it is about time the government take heed of prolonged issues within PPL and restructure the company.
Governor Parkop questioned why PNG Power Limited is still lacking in its service delivery around the country. The governor said since the former minister responsible, Ben Micah, sought to terminate and change the company's board members and management, this has not brought change to the service and output of the company.
We are changing the board members and the CEO, but it's still not working. PNG Power continues to fail our people and our nation, not delivering reliable and affordable power. And it's affecting industry, affecting everyone, social, economic life.
In response, Minister for Public Enterprise and State Investment, William Duma, says his appointment as the new minister responsible, plus the appointment of PPL's new CEO, will not bring change to the company immediately. Rather, it will take time to transform the company.
It does not take 4 months for someone to turn around an organization which has was entrenched corruption, incompetent people, the old works. So it'll take someone who has the status of a ultimate superpower to turn this organization around. But Mr. Speaker, what has been happening, Mr. Speaker, is we all have ourselves to blame. We all knew that our own utility company had problems. And yet we decided to turn a blind eye. And only when it affected us, we started jumping up and down.
Furthermore, Governor Parkop called for a restructure of the company and suggested that provincial governments take ownership and invest into established assets of PNG Power.
Can you be dividing PNG Power now? Maybe PNG Power only supply only producing power, that's all. Now the line connecting all house, not a line extreme. And one idea. Not a idea, enough mipla provincial government to partnership or mipla some investor na mipla owning the asset of provinces. So we run a reliable power provided to our provinces or city or kind of thing.
Duma says there is plans for a restructure. However, this will involve all stakeholders, especially the government.
In the interest of this company, whether we need to split it into 3 or 4 different companies, one responsible for transmission, one responsible for generation, and one responsible for retailing. And PNG Power, Mr. Speaker, is a very big company. It has a gross turnover of about 700 million kina. And I need all of you to help me. If we go through it, we can turn this company around.
Stanley Over Jr., National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news. The Kina opened unchanged at $0.3160 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3085, $0.4267 Australian dollars, €0.2739 euro, and 34.02 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, cocoa and copra closed higher, while gold and coffee closed the day lower. Palm oil, crude oil, and copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 44.93 points higher, the ASX closed at 2.10 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 3.84 points higher. More local and international news, that's after the break. Welcome back. An application to determine whether the Supreme Court is authorized to cite contempt charges was this morning refused by a three-man bench. The application was filed by lawyers representing Eastern Highlands Governor Julie Soso, Personnel Management Department Secretary John Kali, and the two acting provincial administrators Samson Akunai and Alvin Inamoy. All four were cited for contempt by Chief Justice Sir Salamor Injia in April.
The application was submitted before Justice David Kennings, Justice Terence Higgins, and Justice Lawrence Kanwia. Lawyers representing the four submitted that the Supreme Court does not have powers to charge their clients for contempt. However, the submissions were refused and the court told to commence with the contempt trial. Soso, Kali, Akunai and Inamoy were charged for contempt in April by the Supreme Court. It came after Inamoy was appointed provincial administrator despite a court order restraining the appointment of another PA. All four are now on 1,000 Kina bail each, and their trial will continue until the end of the week. The legal battle over the provincial administrator's post continues to disrupt government services in Goroka town. But there is a court order in place restoring Solomon Tato as PA and prevents the interference from the four parties in the administration of the provincial government. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
National Agricultural Research Institute is planting rice for local farmers with support from the ROC Taiwanese government. It comes when rural parts of the country are recovering from last year's El Nino effects and sudden rains that destroyed food gardens. Rice crops intended for recovery include Taiwanese species growing on fields at Bupia, Nari's headquarters in the Morobe province.
Papua New Guinea is not totally dependent on development partners, but some continue to assist during times of drought and the current economic downturn when money is stretched. Today, another partner, Taiwan, showed its support, this time agriculture focused on rice development. The Taiwanese Rice Field Day was attended by Taiwan's head of mission to the country to see the technical and expertise support given to Nari.
We fully support the PNG government's response to address the adverse impact brought up by El Nino.
The partnership with the Republic of China on Taiwan, the National Agricultural Research Institute, and the National Department of Agriculture spans 26 years.
We were working together in terms of some crops such as the rice, the sweet corn and sweet potato. And we were looking at markets where inlay farmers around Morobe could grow and supply.
Agricultural development continues to be a key sector of interest for the national government, despite it being neglected for many years.
We are good partners in progress, not to mention we are all members of the Global Village.
The ROC-Taiwan partnership has been focused on farmer training skills and knowledge to help farmers become agricultural small to medium entrepreneurs. This rice field day comes when the country is recovering from the effects of the El Nino. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Ley.
And now heading overseas, migrants rescued from 2 boats in the Mediterranean this week told humanitarian workers in Italy that they saw another vessel carrying some 400 migrants sink. The Italian Navy vessel Vega arrived in southern Italy carrying the bodies of 45 victims of a shipwreck and more than 600 migrants who were rescued from several boats.
3 vessels carrying migrants already are confirmed to have sunk or capsized this week. More than 60 bodies are said to have been recovered, including those of 3 infants, and hundreds are believed to be missing. But the possible sinking of a 4th vessel on Thursday had not been reported, said Save the Children in Italy. That ship, along with another fishing boat and a rubber boat, left Sabratha in Libya late Wednesday night, according to interviews on Saturday, with some of the more than 600 survivors from the other 2 vessels in the Sicilian port of Pozzallo. They said the rubber boat had its own motor, but the smaller fishing boat carrying some 400 migrants did not. It was towed by the larger fishing vessel, which had about 500 others. Eventually, the smaller boat began to take on water, and when the captain of the larger boat ordered the tow line cut, sank with most of its passengers. The survivors told Save the Children. Those aboard the other 2 vessels were not rescued until much later. On the orders of the court of Ragusa, police have detained a man who they suspect was the captain of the larger boat. Police are interviewing witnesses of the possible tragedy. This week's arrival included Eritreans, Sudanese, Nigerians and many other West Africans, humanitarian groups say. Despite the surge this week, as of Friday, 40,660 arrivals had been counted, 2% fewer than the same period of last year. Most of the boats this week appear to have left from Sabratha, Libya, where many said smugglers had bitten them and women said they had been raped, according to Medecins Sans Frontières, which has 3 rescue boats in the area. Vanessa Knight, MTV World News.
As Haiti continues to try and sort out its political crisis, a looming health crisis continues to bedevil the Caribbean nation, cholera. According to the Haitian Ministry of Public Health and Population, the cholera epidemic began 10 months after the devastating earthquake in 2010 and has already seen the outbreak in several thousands of cases this year alone.
The result has been roughly 175 deaths. In April and May alone, at least 27 Haitians have died. In response, 4 departments have issued red alerts. Health centers have been set up in and around Port-au-Prince, among other sites.
Last night, we have 19 patients. 15 of them have been cured, and they went home this morning. Some of them spent a week here at the center. But we've received other cholera patients who arrived here today. For now, there are 9 or 10 patients. Depending on the case, the center could take on many more before the end of the day.
The persistent problem has been termed the largest and most explosive cholera epidemic in modern times, according to health journal Outbreak News Today. This mother of a cholera patient, Viana Michelle, explains the toll the outbreak has taken. Among the challenges aggravating the problem is a lack of proper bathrooms. This is according to Donald Francois, who is in charge of the national coordination to fight the epidemic. He added that funds need to be pumped in and $2 billion is needed for eradication. That money ought to be shared in 3 phases, according to the global plan. For the first phase, $450 million was needed. He said they are now on the second phase. There have been roughly 10,000 deaths since the beginning of the decade as a result of cholera. Haiti was able to make it through much of the 20th century without a major cholera problem. And according to the Emerging Infectious Diseases, the estimates of the total number affected might be lower than the actual figure. Lorraine Gabina, MTV World News.
Trukai Sports is next. We'll have football and cricket. Stay tuned.
Tukai Sports.
Welcome to Jukai Sports. PNG drew 1-1 with the New Caledonia in their dramatic opening Group A clash of the Oceania Football Confederation Nations Cup at the weekend. However, the OFC Nations Cup campaign will get a lot tougher when they face reigning champions Tahiti tomorrow at the Sir John Guy's Stadium.
The first match against New Caledonia saw the home side lead 1-0 at half-time. The host had every opportunity to claim a deserved victory until the 79th minute, when goal scorer Tommy Semi was red-carded by New Zealand referee Matt Conga.
Away from the ball, his second yellow card, he sees red.
The absence of Semi up front forced the 10-man PNG side into defensive mode until the 83rd minute when New Caledonia levelled.
And New Caledonia are level.
The red card on Semi will see the infamous striker sit out 2-match suspension. That could spell the end of his OFC Nations Cup campaign if PNG doesn't make it into the semi-final. On a positive note, PNG forwards Nigel Debunyaba and Raymond Guneba could rise to the challenge, and Semi's absence creates an opportunity for striker Patrick Aisa to come off the bench to start. On the other hand, defending champions Tahiti displayed an all-rounded performance against Group B opponent Samoa with a commanding 4-0 win.
With a nice finish to go with it, and Tahiti increased their lead to 4.
With that fast attacking style, 1-2 touches and quick transitions up front, the Tahitian striker Tauhiti Kag and Tianui Tehu were on point with their finishes. PNG's spine of Captain David Muta, Emmanuel Simon and Wira Wama will have to cut down the string of passes from Tahiti's ball supply in the midfield. While the defense line would again see the Comalong brothers Elwin and Felix lining up with veteran Korea Kupaiga, who is no stranger to international foes. The PNG men's national side will take on Tahiti at 7 p.m. tomorrow at the Sir John Guy Stadium. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
Still in football, PNG Under-20 women's hopes of a good show against the United States crumbled last night as the home side lost by 10-0. Prior to the match, head coach Lisa Cole said that the U.S. would prove a different technical challenge than Japan. However, that wasn't the case.
It took the United States only 10 minutes to score. And 2 minutes doubled their lead through Ashley Sanchez, who scored only a minute later for the U.S. to lead by 3-0. Papua New Guinea did manage to hold off further American attacks, and by the end of the first half, the scores remained unchanged. The second half, however, saw a deterioration in PNG's back four, despite a more defensive formation with strikers Nicole Ageva and Ramona Padillo both dropping down into the midfield, leaving no options up front for the red, black and gold. 54 minutes in and Kelsey Hedge quadrupled the U.S. lead. And by the end of the match, Papua New Guinea had conceded the same amount of goals as they had against Japan, a dismal 10-0 demolishing. Dinero Shriko, National EMTV Sports.
To cricket, the PNG Hebo Barramundis took a clean sweep against the visiting Kenyans yesterday afternoon. In front of a home crowd, the Barramundis held off Kenya to win by 21 runs in the second World Cricket League Championship in Port Moresby. Both wins will come as a boost of cricket in PNG, following the successful host of the World Cricket League Championship matches for the very first time. Cricket PNG has become the second sport association to sign a lease agreement for PNG Sports Foundation for the usage of the Amini Cricket Park in Port Moresby. This lease agreement follows the compulsory acquisition of all sporting fields by the government prior to the 2015 Pacific Games.
The lease agreement between the PNG Sports Foundation and Cricket PNG will now allow the Sporting Association to take ownership of the pitch. Minister for Sports Justin Chichenko explained the government's stance on compulsorily acquiring all sporting fields in 2015 and their expectations from all associations in maintaining the venues and facilities.
We took the initiative to compulsorily acquire these grounds back to the state and then sublease them out to the different sporting codes and associations and organising committees to ensure that we had the grounds looked after.
Cricket PNG's chairman said the lease agreement dates back to 2007 and the association has since been chasing the land titles.
It's a long coming, so 9 years, chasing for the title, so at last it's happening actually. So on that respect, we like to thank the Honourable Minister, the Chairman of the Foundation, Graham Osborne, and the Executive Director, Peter Sessiamili, for bringing it together today actually and make it a historical occasion. And we will definitely, as we have seen that one in the past, that look after our ground facilities very well.
The lease agreement will allow for Cricket PNG to host many other international tournaments in the coming years, following the successful match between PNG and Kenya over the weekend. This will also pave way for Cricket PNG to now pursue their infrastructure development, which they have been planning for since 2014. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back. Samantha Casman's road to Rio is beginning to look a lot brighter. Following her qualification in the Oceania Olympic qualifiers earlier this year in Port Moresby, the 34-year-old has since been based in Australia, undergoing intense training and preparation with RT Extreme Taekwondo and Fitness. She has competed in a number of local competitions and tournaments, and the most recent being over the weekend on the Gold Coast, where she won a bronze medal in both the 67-kilogram and 73-kilogram fights. The build-up to Rio continues for Casman and the rest of Team PNG, with 66 days remaining till the grand opening. PNG sprint queen Toya Whistle is not only training hard in preparation for the Olympic Games in August, but has taken her own personal challenge to improve her literacy. With only a grade 2 reading level under her belt, Toya is determined to defy all odds and learn to read in order to better prepare for her life after athletics.
Through her manager, brand ambassadors director Terry Johnson, she has partnered with St. Hilda's School on the Gold Coast, where she's enjoying 1 to 2 tutoring sessions a week, on top of her already heavy training schedule. As well as improving her literacy skills, Whistle is well positioned to achieve big things this year, having set a PNG national record for the 200-meter in a blistering 23.43 seconds at the APT State Championships in Canberra in February. Much of her recent success and newfound focus can be attributed to the help of new coaches Tony and Alison Fairweather. They have been offering support both on and off the track, helping Toya reach her fullest potential. Toya understands the importance of gaining a good education and looks up to not-for-profit organizations such as Book Belong Pikinini, who strongly believe literacy is the key to a better society. Toya is not only working towards improving her education, but is also focused on representing Papua New Guinea at the August's Olympic Games, where she has qualified for the 100-meter event. Elijah Lavette, National EMTV Sports.
That ends Trukai Sports. I'll have the weather details after these short messages.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
For tonight and tomorrow, in the southern region, mostly fine and windy for Port Moresby, Alatau and Daru, and mostly fine for Kerma and Popondetta. In the Momasa region, showers for Lae, chances of few showers for Medang, and few occasional showers for Wewak and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands, few showers with occasional thunderstorms for Lorengau, mostly fine tonight with showers tomorrow for Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul, thundery showers for Kimbe, and few showers intensifying for Buka. And in the Highlands region, showers or drizzles with fog for all centres. Now recapping our main stories for tonight. President Robert Mugabe addresses ACP leaders. Minister tells Parliament UPNG will remain suspended, and PNG to face Tahiti next in the OFC Nations Cup. And that's the news, sports and weather for tonight, Tuesday the 31st of May 2016. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Hope Imaka. Pleasant viewing. Good night.